I'm Joseph Parilla. I'm a fellow at the Brookings Metropolitan Policy Program, and I study economic and social conditions in cities and metropolitan areas. NAFTA is currently being renegotiated, and that's a big deal because the U.S. trades as much with Canada and Mexico as it does with Japan, South Korea, and the BRIC countries, Brazil, Russia, India, and China combined. So that trade is mainly driven by manufacturing, particularly advanced products, cars, airplanes, electronics, machinery, but increasingly services as well. So financial services, architecture and design, intellectual property. So nearly every U.S. community relies on exports for jobs and growth, but that differs depending on the industry base. So in the nation's small towns, rural areas, 80% of exports remain in goods, so manufacturing, agricultural and energy commodities. But in the nation's big cities, the 100 largest metropolitan areas, exports are increasingly done in services, so nearly 50% as of 2016, because that's where big banks, consultancies, universities, health institutions tend to locate. Even as the nation shifts to more services exports, manufacturing remains really important. And for US-based firms to manufacture and export, they need to be able to import. So the quintessential example of this within North America is the auto industry. Tens of billions of dollars of intermediate goods, so motor vehicle seats, ignitions, wires, flow into Southeast Michigan, the hub of the US auto industry, every year. So essentially for Michigan to export price competitive cars, it needs to be able to import price competitive components. The importance of these integrated supply chains means that pulling the United States out of NAFTA would have been really bad for the US economy. Luckily, President Trump is not going to do that. Instead, we're renegotiating the agreement, which in many ways makes a lot of sense. NAFTA was negotiated 25 years ago, and so a lot has changed since then. And some of the areas that the negotiators should focus on are upgrading environmental standards to modern best practices, creating new rules that govern how trade is done online through e-commerce. Obviously, the internet wasn't really prevalent when NAFTA was first negotiated. And making sure that labor standards that govern companies in all three countries have been updated to kind of the best current thinking so that workers can continue to benefit from trade in North America.